Story 1. Screaming at my ex-wife and threatening to take full custody of the kids. Here's some background before we begin. Me and my ex-wife had 3 kids before we divorced: James, 16, Ethan, 15, and Ryan, 12. Me and my wife have split custody of the kids. I have them 1 week and she'll have them the next. Last Wednesday I received a call from my ex-il. The second I answered, she immediately started yelling at me, calling me a piece of SHT who doesn't deserve to be a dad, and that my ex-wife should fight for full custody of the kids because of what I've done. I was extremely confused. I literally had no idea what she was talking about. Finally, I managed to calm down my sister-in-law and got her to believe that I genuinely had no idea what was going on. Apparently on Monday James had collapsed during class and had been taken to the hospital after a full 10 minutes of him being unconscious. My ex-wife had failed to inform me about this and had told her entire family that I had ignored her messages. I checked my texts to make sure I hadn't missed any texts and no, nothing. I immediately rushed to the hospital to see my son, and I was absolutely shocked to find my ex-wife yelling at him. A nurse was trying to stop her, but my ex was just ignoring her, continuing to yell at my son. She was yelling about how she was spending a fortune on these medical bills and it was all his fault, and if it was up her they never would have called an ambulance. I literally walked in and pulled my ex outside the hospital. I wasn't going to have an argument with her in the middle of a hospital and disturb other people. When we got outside I just went completely off it, yelling about how she hasn't told me that our son had collapsed and was in hospital and what she had been saying to him after he eventually regained consciousness. I ended off by telling her that I was going to take full custody of the kids and make sure she would never see them again. My ex-wife just started at me and silently walked away. I went back in to see James. My mill was looking after Ethan and Ryan, and he was in tears. He apologized profusely and wouldn't stop no matter how many times I told him it was okay. He still kept apologizing. I honestly hate my ex for what she did, but I'm wondering if I may have gone too far. Many of her relatives have been calling me, telling me how awful I've been to her and that I've ruined her mental health, and I'm honestly starting to feel like a writer hole now. I haven't seen my ex since the incident at the hospital, as I've been spending all my time with James, Ryan and Ethan at the hospital, and she hasn't come back since. Comment 1. Honestly, NTA. She has no right yelling at her son after he wakes up from unconsciousness. It's not his fault he's not doing well, and all she can think about is rubbing in how this is financially impacting her, and it's all his fault. She can go F herself. Hope you get custody, as this isn't probably the first time she's yelled at your son. Most importantly, I hope your kid is okay. Comment 2. Yeah, no. Not only did she not tell you anything but spin the story to make you seem like you were maliciously ignoring it, but then is leaving your son with just a huge pocket of trauma. He's never gonna forget that day, and you are completely justified in trying to get custody if this is how she treats a hospital visit. Comment 3. Call your lawyer, call the cops so they get a record from the nurses and everyone involved as to what happened, to get the SIL's statement that she was told you were refusing to see your kid in hospital. They can get phone records to prove she never contacted you. She not only didn't tell you about your kid being in hospital but was berating a sick child for being in hospital. Her behavior, if so out of whack from normal, might be something you push the courts to demand she gets a mental health check, because it sounds like she's legitimately having some kind of mental issue, as her behavior is that strange. Get your other kids from your mill and ask them about her behavior, if she stopped them from contacting you or if she told them she had. Story 2. Telling my 13-year-old daughter the truth. I, 38F, and my ex, 38M, got divorced 10 years ago. It took some time to figure out co-parenting, and I'm not sure it's ever perfect, but we are in a good place. My ex, who we will call Michael, has been very problematic to say the least. For context, my daughter is now 13. He left me while I was pregnant with our daughter so he could pursue the single life and live with a guy friend. Then we got back together after our daughter was born. 3 years after, he tells me he cheated on me 3 days after our child was born while I was in the hospital, and he was now dating yet another co-worker. He ended our marriage for this lady that we call Taylor. Michael and Taylor lasted for 6 years. It was painful for me, but I ended up redoing my life and finding happiness. Out of nowhere, my ex messages me to tell me him and Taylor broke up because he got their mutual friend Jasmine pregnant. Needless to say, Taylor was heartbroken, and she then apologized to me for all the hurt she caused me because now she was getting her karma. I accepted her apology and moved on. My daughter Gracie accepted this change pretty well. She was shocked that her dad and Taylor were over, but she was very accepting of Jasmine. Michael and Jasmine dated, and then she moved in after their child was born. All was going really well. I actually really enjoyed Jasmine as a stepmom figure because she was kind but had structure for Gracie, which was something her dad lacks. He then called me and Gracie for a meetup early this year to tell us he broke up with Jasmine and he was not in love with her anymore. He wanted to let me and Gracie know that he wasn't dating anyone else and he was going to work on himself for once. He seemed sincere, but deep down I never believed him. I've also been a shoulder for his ex to cry on for his ex Jasmine. She has been on the verge of a nervous breakdown and she doesn't have much family or friends. Fast forward to July 2023, he moved out of his home with Jasmine and into his apartment and now magically has a new GF named Annie, 28F. He is trying to have our daughter meet already. I quickly stopped that and let him know that he needed to wait a few months before introducing them. I found out through a friend that my ex is now cheating on Annie. I feel bad for her, but I also feel like she was okay with his messy behavior, so what made her think he wouldn't do it to her? Gracie has been very excited to meet Annie. Because they are closer in age, they listen to the same music and enjoy similar movies per her dad. AITA for letting my daughter know that her dad is yet again playing games and is possibly cheating on her. I did it with the thought process of I don't want her to get emotionally attached to then lose her. Any comment is greatly appreciated. Comment 1. NTA, your daughter's only 13 and that's her male role model in life? Yikes. I'd definitely tell Annie she deserves to not be cheated on by a loser that's 10 years older than her. Set a better example for your kid and show her actions have consequences, and her dad doesn't just get to keep playing with women like they're his personal playthings. OP comment. I feel bad for Annie because she is paying his rent and some car payment from comments of what he has told me. He is currently not paying child support to me. I'm not sure about Jasmine. He really does hurt women, and I don't want his horrible behavior towards women hurt my daughter. I don't really know her, but I would like to warn her. I'm just scared she would take it as I'm in love with him. Comment 2. NTA. Perhaps make sure that your daughter doesn't sense your bitterness towards her father. I know I would be bitter if I were you. Otherwise, I think kids at her age can handle facts better than we think they can. Just all the emotional baggage from adults we ought to be careful not to instill in them. Then what do I know? Not a therapist. But that's what I think, and that's how I would handle the situation. Story 3. Not giving my engagement ring to dead fiancé family. Dead fiancé named John, and I'll start at the beginning. About 4 years ago, I was engaged to John. After dating for 4 years, when he proposed, the ring he used was 2 sizes too big. We went to the store that he bought it from 2 weeks before proposing, and he kept the receipt. Gotten the right size and kept same style. We did plan to have the wedding, after 3 years of planning and saving. 10 months after the proposal, John passed away in a car accident. I used the savings for wedding to pay for his funeral. The day after the funeral, John's brother came to me asking for the ring. I asked why. His response was that the ring had been passed down their family for 5 generations. Told him that was BS, because I have proof of the ring was brought for me, less than a year ago. We argued for a bit and he then stormed out. Then I get the calls from John's family, saying I'm a liar and demanding the ring. Then I got a letter from their lawyer. In the letter they also demanded that I reimburse them for costs of John's funeral. So I got myself a lawyer, showed the proof about the ring, and I paid for the funeral in court and I won. I thought that madness was over, until John's sister recently messaged me. She and her BF are engaged, but haven't gotten a ring and she wants John's ring. After I said no, she went crazy and messaging non-stop demanding. I have blocked her over and over, but she finds a way around it. I was having brunch with my friend, my mobile was on the table, a message from sister popped up and my friend saw it. My friend knows about everything, before sister's first message. I explained about her messages, friend believes I'm and I should give her the ring. She told my other friends and they are all saying the same things. Now I'm doubting myself. Extra info about the ring: this ring is part of a company that designs jewelry based on movies and mass-produce each style in different sizes. This company started after 2000. When we went to the store to get right size, John asked for ring 1 to be swapped with right size and same style ring 2. If he did modify ring 1 with any family diamonds, he would have asked for ring 1 to be resized. After the swap and when telling his parents about the engagement, I showed them the ring and John told them about where he brought it and about size swap. Parents never said anything about an heirloom ring and family diamonds. It was after the funeral is when they started saying their great-great-great-grandparents were the ones that brought this ring and it's a heirloom. Comment 1. Talk to a lawyer. You are being harassed by the greedy, lying, litigious family of your deceased partner. None of them deserve a damn thing from you, much less your engagement ring your fiancé bought you. His sister can get her ring out if a gumball machine for all you care. It is not your problem or responsibility to provide her with jewelry. NTA. And you need better friends, if they are siding with the sister. Your ring was important to you. It is yours, why would you ever lose it? Comment 2. NTA, this ring was purchased for you by your fiancé, with the intent that you be the one to wear it. Although I am sympathetic that John's family is still grieving, this was intended by your fiancé to be yours, not his family's heirloom. Sorry for your loss. I hope your friends will come around to understand why you hold onto this ring. Comment 3. I'm so sorry for your loss. Frown. I'm a little confused about why your friend is siding with John's sister. You've stated that John had purchased your engagement ring and that you had proof and a receipt from the purchase, so the ring wasn't passed down from his family whatsoever. He bought that ring specifically for you. For the family to harass and berate you about the ring that they have no ownership to is wild to me. It is also not your fault his sister's BF didn't buy her an engagement ring. It isn't your responsibility to give her the ring your late fiancé purchased for you. I think it's a little weird that she wants your ring and not a ring from her actual BF. Especially since it doesn't have sentimental value to her. Story 4, getting into law school. And then actually going. I, 22F, met my BF, 24M, when we were both in undergrad. I was a freshman when he was a senior. He graduated in 2020, and I recently graduated this year. It has long been my plan to go to law school, beginning when I was in high school and continuing until now. My boyfriend was never under any delusions that I wanted anything different. I first told him on our first date. He helped me study for the LSAT. He read my personal statement. He held my hand while I sent off my application. He threw me a party when I got accepted. And then I graduated, and we moved in together in June. I started law school classes in August. He has since been distancing himself from me, and I have been at a loss for why, until tonight. After pressing him, he said he was surprised and hurt that I still decided to start graduate school after we moved in together. He said he thought that our relationship should matter more. I was obviously confused, as before he had seemed nothing but supportive. I realize I probably have less time to spend with him now than I have previously in our relationship. I asked him if having more time dedicated to him in my schedule would make him feel better. He said it was fun and cute seeing me have my goals, but figured that once we got serious my priorities would change. He wants me to drop out so we can focus on our future together. He claims that if he means anything to me, I'll choose him over school. I love him, and I feel terrible that I have made him feel this way. I want to be an attorney, I always have, but I also want him to be happy. Is it wrong to have my cake and eat it too? Comment 1. NTA, please don't drop out of law school for a relationship. If your boyfriend was truly happy for you, he would support you instead of giving you ultimatums. Has he said what he actually expects you to do instead of go to law school? It seems like he wants a little woman at home to look after him. Comment 2. He's talking about if he meant anything to you? Meanwhile, he's making it pretty obvious that you don't mean anything to him beyond being a little housewife. If he actually cared about you, he would support your goals and dreams. NTA, ditch this loser and go follow your dreams. You'll find someone out there who actually values you and wants good things for you. Comment 3. Obviously, NTA. Do not under any circumstance drop out of school for him. Watch out for him trying to get you pregnant too. Unfortunately, there's no solution other than breaking up. He just showed his true colors. Just out of pure curiosity, what are the red flags you can now see looking back? Does he have traditional family values? Does he display patriarchal solidarity or other forms of misogyny? Has he been big on the notion of being a real man or a provider? Has he been telling you any version of how you're not like other women? Does he come from a family where women don't have careers and, if so, has he seemed uncritical of that or even proud? Or is he more the insecure type who won't handle you being more educated or more successful than he is, or who thinks you'll obviously leave him for a fellow lawyer? Extra story, wanting to deter a person struggling with homelessness from sleeping on my patio? I am a married woman in my 30s who lives in a medium-density city. Our apartment is a garden apartment, which means our front door is below street level, on the back of the house facing an alley/parking. Shortly after we moved here, a homeless man began to sleep in the chairs we placed in our hobbit hole. I was anxious, my husband was not. The fella usually left before we woke, and he didn't mess anything up or steal, just shuffled around the chairs/doormat/some large pieces of cardboard I was storing out there. He wasn't causing problems, so my husband was fine to ignore it. Until this morning, when as I straightened the askew furniture, I found used hard drug paraphernalia hidden under my doormat. Edit, it was a crack pipe, not an intravenous setup. My husband brought in all our furniture from the patio, and I have purchased a camera that I'll be putting up along with a "I'm very sorry, please stay somewhere else" sort of sign. I just feel like such an asshole because I know I don't know the complexities of what this man is struggling with, and it feels bad to make assumptions. He found a comfy place to sleep where he thought he'd be out of the way, and I'm putting up a camera and telling him to buzz off basically. But knowing he's doing hard drugs in front of the only entrance to my home is just too terrifying to ignore, especially considering I leave for work when it's still dark out most mornings. Comment 1. NTA. Also, you are creating a cozy little thought process for a complete stranger. You have no idea what his thoughts are, especially mind-altered. Leaving the drugs under your doormat demonstrates that this person is getting bolder as he grows more comfortable with the arrangement he's set up for himself. Conflicted feelings are what causes people to say "I will call the police," revealing their plans to the intruder who now has time to act instead of calling them immediately, which is what you should do today.